The President of the United States is and always been the ultimate unilateral classification authority to classify and declassify. If he says something is declassified, that's it. Then it's declassified.
That's Kash Patel, formerly of the Trump administration, with what is the president's team's defense, and his defense for that matter, of the highly sensitive documents that were allegedly found at Mar-a-Lago after the FBI raid. This from George Will earlier today in the Washington Post. Garland has a political duty to explain the circus perpetrated at Mar-a-Lago. George Will, Pulitzer Prize-winning columnist, NewsNation senior political contributor, is with us now. You wrote that, sir, yesterday for publication this morning in the paper. Is what we've seen play out over the past 24 hours fulfill the justification you demanded?
Quite the contrary. What we've seen in the last 24 hours has caused questions to multiply. Let me just give you an example. This tug-of-war standoff, whatever you want to call it, between Mr. Trump and the archives, is now months old. Question: what changed to cause the urgency to have the search of his house on Monday? Another question. He was asked many weeks into this standoff if he would put a supplementary lock on the room or rooms in which the documents at issue were kept. He did so. Now, if these are vital, urgent national security documents, which they may well be, I'm not prejudging that, why did we have a kind of lackadaisical tug of war with the archives? What changed to cause the emergency? Why did, when they knew that these documents were there, why did they say a supplemental lock would suffice? Or did they not know that the documents were there? I'm just multiplying these questions, Leland, because to say what we need now is something a lot more than a 2-minute statement from Attorney General Merrick Garland, which consisted largely of explaining that the FBI in normal procedure doesn't talk. Well, a normal procedure might not quite cover a search warrant executed against a former president.
Yeah, it was a 3-minute statement, 2 minutes of which was saying all the things he couldn't say and why he wouldn't say them. We've been down this road before many times with candidate Trump and President Trump, the unrestrained glee of the media, and by that I mean sort of the liberal cable news intelligentsia, and Democrats thinking, we've got him now. This is the big one. What is it? Is it that they're always just a little too quick, or is that he's just a little too slippery?
Well, first, it is the wish being father to the thought on the part of the media. The media, Leland, are in the very interesting position right now of saying, okay, everybody, we've heard from the FBI and the Justice Department, so invest your faith in these institutions and let's move on, nothing to see here. Well, I'm not really used to or comfortable with journalists saying, let's have less information. And that's really what they're saying right now.
Yeah, I feel like that, as you point out, there's just so many more questions now here. And we should point out that the Espionage Act, while it sounds like it's about spying, it's largely focused on document retention and national security secrets and the like. There was a lot of punditry on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday that there must be a there. There had to be something more to justify this raid. Take a listen.
There has to be something more than just a Presidential Records Act violation.
There's more to this than meets the eye, and I have to think that there's something a lot more serious that they think is being withheld from the presidential collection.
If it's only about records retention, it's a problem, for sure.
If you're going to go in and execute a search warrant on a former president's residence and business, there better be a big there.
The question of whether or not there's more going on here is a real one, because it was a very substantial, extraordinary step.
Again, I have yet to hear any of those people then come back and say, well, it appears as though it was about records. Perhaps the FBI overstepped.
Well, let's stipulate, as the lawyers say, that some of what we've heard is true, that there is, for example, a set of documents with the highest conceivable classification. These are kind of documents that are only to be looked at in specially configured rooms to be maximally secure. That's so. We still saw, it seems to me, if the reporting is correct, one of the things the FBI agents took pertained to the clemency from Mr. Trump to his friend Roger Stone. What in the world has that got to do with national security? One more question, and the questions are going to keep multiplying. And I like to think that the intrepid journalists on this case are going to say, well, wait a minute, we're being asked we're told, defer to the institutions, hold your questions, trust the government. That's not their job, basically.
No, quite the opposite. You know, you made the great point in your column that Merrick Garland has sort of stepped into or created this giant firestorm in the middle of August, I might add, on a Friday. But now he has to find a way out of it. If you have put this search warrant and these affidavits out there, or you put the search warrant based on the affidavits and you got it, you have to find a way to then justify this to the world of what you will or will not do. And I brought up this quote from Jim Comey in 2016. Although there is evidence of potential violations of the statutes regarding the handling of classified information, our judgment is that no reasonable prosecutor would bring such a case. James Comey talking about Hillary Clinton in a very similar but not identical case. Could he get out of this firestorm by just saying simply that?
That would, as you well know, in our current polarized climate, that would detonate the political left, and we'd have another firestorm. Leland, nature abhors a vacuum, and political nature abhors a vacuum of information. And they're going to have to fill that vacuum with information about what triggered this, what caused the sudden acceleration in a process that has been going on for months. If they don't do it now, if the Republicans take control of one house of Congress in the fall elections, this will all come back to be rehashed over. But this can't wait until November. I'll give you a nightmare scenario, Leland. Suppose this secures an unimpeded march to the Republican nomination for Mr. Trump. And suppose Mr. Biden says, I beat him once, I can do it again. Suppose, in other words, the net fallout of this is Biden against Trump 2.0.
Well, you know, we said that we started the show a few months ago saying, God, we can only hope America could do better. And we hope so. As you said, nightmare. It's good to see you, Mr. Will, as always.
Good to be with you.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thanks for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to subscribe. Click the red button to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.